Hi, my name is Claire Danes, and I am decidedly giddy about being Conan O'Brien's friend.
Are you sure the giddiness is about me? Or were you doing nitrous recently?
No, I am. It's very nice to see you
It's
again.
nice to see you again. I'm going to say something that I hope this comes out right, but this is how I feel. Whenever I meet people, as I met you many years ago.
Quite a few moons
when you
ago.
came on the show, and probably for My So-Called Life or something, just like
something ancient.
Something, and I have this feeling, and I've said this to like Scarlett Johansson, who was on as a child actor. She was in a sketch that we did.
Oh, really?
Where she played we billed her as the spelling bee champion.
Oh.
And then we brought her out, and we didn't tell the audience it was all a hoax, and she couldn't spell her way out of a paper bag, which was the joke. But I'll see you or her, and I'll think, I'm like your uncle or something, because you have done so well, and then I have this weird pride, which is misplaced, because I've had nothing to do with your life.
Aww.
I've done nothing other than have you on the show a couple of times, and so I've in no way contributed to your success. But I still have this kind of weird quasi-paternal thing that I don't quite understand.
That's very sweet, and I will take that pride gladly and hungrily. Yeah,
Okay.
no, that's
well.
very
Father's
kind.
Day is coming up.
Indeed.
You should probably get me a gift.
Yeah.
I also have a very nice memory of my wife and I. This was a long time ago. But
was this in Seattle?
Yes.
At the museum of rock and roll or something?
Yeah, it's like the music experience music museum. And we're walking along, and my wife and our relationship is not that, it's not like I think we're newly married or fairly recently married, or maybe even not married yet. And you came running up to me and were really nice to me. And my wife was like, "You know Claire Danes?" And I was like, yes, I do.
I know many people.
And that
it's my job.
That may have sealed the deal for me. That may have gotten me my wife.
Oh, good. Okay.
Of 21 years. So good for you.
Yeah, I remember it too. It was quite exciting seeing you so out of context.
Yes. Yeah, I remember that very well. There's just like these little flash moments you have. And we have so much to talk about because I saw this show that you did recently, Fleischman's in Trouble, and I was interested in it right away because I adore you. I adore Jesse Eisenberg.
It's a good group.
I love Lizzie Cal. I mean, it's just like this is, and I had this thought of they're getting some of my favorite people together to do a project, and watched it. And I was floored by what you did in that. I don't know if I want to call it a movie because it's not a TV show. It's serial. What do we call them now?
I think we call them limited series.
Limited series, very
which
good.
Is like a schmancier version of mini series, which had a very different connotation.
Exactly.
Not so long ago.
Yeah, it's there were so many things that like after school special.
Yes, exactly. No, it's not about vaginal discharge or something.
Well, I was disappointed because I tuned in thinking that's what I was going to see. And we'll talk about it a little more later because I don't want to give anything away, but that floored me, and it shouldn't have surprised me because the work that you've done throughout your career is so good.
Oh, thank you.
And I know you hear this a lot, and it's interesting to me because knowing you just a little bit as yourself, you are so good at playing these people who are going through something torturous and who are just being crushed by like seismic plates of emotion. You're so able to do that. And then when I see you, you're just the lightest, most fun. Do you know what I mean? You're effervescent and fun, and you're a great laugher. And I think, man, she's a good actress.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. I don't know. It's so exquisitely well written, this show, and it's this great magic trick that Taffy is able to create, both in her novel and in the series. I have to say, I mean, I felt so supported by the material and the people that I was making the thing with. And yeah, it's, it's taxing and risky to venture into those dark crevices of the human experience. But I so believed in the thing and was so excited to have a chance to, explore these themes and these experiences that are so underrepresented in pop culture, that I felt really invested and able to do it.
Yeah.
And there's even some kind of joy in it. I mean, I think because I know it's in service potentially of something worthwhile.
Yep.
Sometimes it's much harder to do a kind of technically easy scene with wonky writing than a really exacting, demanding scene with excellent writing. It carries you.
I think it was Bryan Cranston said, he said, as an actor, I can get the material. If the material's like an A, I might be able to get you to an A+.
Yeah.
But he said, if the material's a C, I can get you to a C+.
Yes.
If I'm really
totally
on game, or maybe to a B-. But he said the really has to be on the page.
Absolutely.
And we are talking about this during this writer's strike, and it's appropriate to bring up
here.
That is I know there's so many people that think they'll watch a show, a drama, and there are many people that think the writers are just kind of making it up as they go along. Almost like you could watch Citizen Kane and Orson Welles got Joseph Cotton, a couple of people, and they just kind of improved. And then they came up with that sled thing in the end. Isn't that crazy?
Totally.
And it's amazing, yeah.
And having spent so much of my time within television, I'm, acutely aware of how vital the writer is in the process. And the intimacy that you start to have with your writing partners on a series is kind of unmatched. I mean, it doesn't really exist to the same extent in any other medium. So I have just the deepest of respect for writers, and I'm really aware of how much I owe to them.
The success of Yellow Jackets is got to be quite satisfying, because what I've noticed as I move along, and I'm much farther along on my path, is that as I get older, I appreciate and enjoy things more. Getting to doing this podcast or whatever, any gig that I have, I kind of appreciate it. It has getting to do the show for Max or hosting the Oscars. It just feels like, I think I would have been so anxious and neurotic about it at a younger age, but now when nice things come along, I can appreciate it more. Do you have that with Yellow Jackets?
I do. I really do. And, I was, I had sort of my big moment in my 20s and went to all the award shows and all the stuff. And then that sort of stopped, and I didn't really work that much for a while. And then this Yellow Jackets thing happened, and then all of a sudden we were going to award shows again and all this stuff. And it was so interesting because this time I could just be like, oh my God, I love that guy. Hey, I'm Christina. And just be really open and easy and fun. And it was, like you said, I wasn't so self-conscious, and I wasn't so worried about everything. I didn't take myself as seriously as I used to. And so it's actually, it has been really, really fun.
There's this quote, one of the Bee Gees said, second fame is so much better. And I guess the Bee Gees stories, which I didn't even really know. There's an amazing documentary about them, and I didn't really know much about them at all, but it's a fantastic documentary. And I didn't realize they were huge pop stars in the 60s. And then it soured, it like anything. The time passed, and then they're trying to figure it out, and they're bumming around, and they're completely out of it. And they're a once was, and then they reconstitute and become this 70s juggernaut phenomenon, one of the biggest groups of the 70s, if not the biggest. And they were like, oh, it's just much more pleasant the second time around because we know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it can be more about, as you said, you can go to these shows and not be neurotic and freaked out and just enjoy.
It also feels so different now, too. Like just Hollywood in general feels
How does it feel different?
Everybody just seems like happy to be there in a way that wasn't like that in the early 2000s. Everything felt so serious then and about like power and position and ambition. And it was really serious. And now it just feels like people actually celebrate at these award shows and are like happy to see each other and there's enough room for everybody. And I feel like it was so much smaller before that it didn't feel like there was enough room for everybody. And it just has like a much nicer feeling, I think, in general.
Something too about maybe the fact that the business has changed so much.
Yeah.
When you came up, but still, we're talking about a limited number of networks. There's no streaming.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and now, if you've got a good idea, there's a good chance you can get it out there somewhere. I mean, even the natures of movies has changed where it's not the giant blockbuster. And there's a plus and minus to that's at the award shows, but there is less of a feeling of it's a small club that's a few people are allowed into.
Yeah.
So many people can have a great idea, get it on YouTube, get it out there. If they've got talent and ability, they can find a streamer, they can find a way to get their vision made. Mm-hmm. And it just feels a little more user-friendly now.
Yes, it's softer and gentler and it's less desperate.
Yeah, unless you want to shoot in Los Angeles.
Well, then, I mean, honestly.
That's getting weird.
I don't actually know how anyone makes that happen.
It's really getting, I mean, not to take things down, but that is a big change that's happened, is people will shoot something that takes place in Los Angeles on Hollywood and Vine, and they'll go up to Nova Scotia to shoot it and recreate Hollywood and Vine and put your star.
They can't. Ricci. I'm sorry, I will not allow that. You do not.
They moved it an hour ago. They moved it an hour ago.
Putting my foot down
without telling you.
Either shoot in LA or.
That's the kind of power I've got in this town.
Can't have my star in your movie.
What's it like? Because with Yellow Jackets, you have this interesting thing where your character Misty, you're playing as an adult, but also there's an actress who's playing you as a child or a kid. I shouldn't say child, but as a teenager. Yeah, as a kid. To me, at 85. It still seems like a child because I'm doing that thing where I want to say I'm 85 now just to get used to it.
Yeah, I've already started. I'm going as far as 87. So anytime I can't work anything,
I love that.
Anytime I can't work anything, I'm like, well, I'm basically 87 when it comes to technology. And the more I say it, like the more I'm feeling more comfortable.
I love that you're 2 years older than me.
I'm older than you.
Is it Sammy Hanratty? Is that the actress who plays you? And it's interesting. I don't know how much do you have communication with the actress who plays younger you to try and see if anything needs to line up, or is that overthinking it?
Well, we did in the very beginning. You know, we shot the pilot and then COVID happened. So it was about almost a year and a half later that we actually went to series. And so she and I met up to discuss, we're really, really different people personality-wise. Like it's surprising how different we are. And so we sort of compared notes, the different performance notes that we've been given, because it was interesting to hear what they wanted to correct or were worried about. Because, like, you know, she's a very bubbly, dynamic, like charming, sweet person. And so to hear what they were concerned was going to come out in her performance was interesting to me. And then to hear what they were afraid I was going to do was very interesting as well. So, like, mine was all about, like, no, she's charming and everyone loves her and all she wants is love and she's human. And hers were like, Kathy Bates from Misery. And, like, you know what I mean? So it just was really funny.
There's a rumor that they put her on depressants. We got to reach you up a little bit. We're putting you on a massive dose of depressants.
Yeah, they were like trying to make me more adorable and her less adorable. And so by doing that, we both felt like we understood like where the parameters were for the character. But beyond that, we never really. I'm very sensitive about not being condescending. Like I even have trouble complimenting people because I feel like it's condescending. I guess I don't know why, but I just do. So anytime the idea of like giving another actress performance advice or notes to me just sounds like really I'm overstepping my place.
Yeah.
So we both have we have our own performances, and when you think about it too, 30 years.
30 years and a lot of intense stuff has happened.
Right. 30 years of like squeezing and rejection and pressure and trauma and all this stuff. You're not going to be the same exact person you were.
Right.
So I think it really does work out. And the writing on the show is really good. And the character is very consistent on the page.
Yeah.
So it's kind of okay for any kind of differences or variations in our performances.
What do you do to get yourself in the right space before you go out there and do a show?
Well, I'm getting older, so it's a lot of, I think it would be the same thing that you would imagine a retired footballer would do if you said you have to play this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of creaking and stretching and asking people to manipulate this and loosen that. And, it's that kind of thing.
I've gotten into trouble asking people that.
Yeah. Please, could you manipulate this and loosen
Please manipulate me. Why am I being sued?
As the venues become the same as sports, so the preparations do too.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
When we were playing in bars, I don't drink, but the rest of the band were drinking. When we were playing in arenas, the rest of them were doing, arena type stuff. And when you're playing stadiums, it's like preparing for a big soccer game or a big NFL game, and you're going to get some muscle issues. And
yeah. Oh, I also think even though I have had people make fun of me because I'll be about to do a show where I'm sitting and chatting with someone and I'm stretching. And people say, what are you stretching for? You're not going to in any way do anything slightly athletic. And I say, it's something about preparing. I need to do something for myself that gets me to a slightly elevated
I think
place.
That comes from physical stuff and from uniforms. I think that we see it all around the world. Anyone that's given a uniform to enforce a rule can do it very, very firmly when they have their uniform. But if they were wearing shorts and a t-shirt, you wouldn't take them seriously.
Right.
In the same way that if I could not go on stage dressed like this, I would not be able to do it. I have to put on my uniform, which looks pretty similar, but I know it's my band uniform.
Yeah, that makes sense to me though too, because I've always felt it's a performance has to be you get to a slightly different place than we're sitting here, I'm wearing jeans, you're wearing sweats, we're chatting. If there was an audience here, I sometimes, even if I'll put on a tie, even if it's not required, I just feel that I need to do something that shows that I'm an ice cream man and I put on my ice cream man uniform.
Yeah. Well, this is a cool, I don't know if this is interesting, but it's been on my mind because I got told that I got in trouble for not dressing up enough for the Grammys.
Mm-hmm.
Although my partner said, you did dress up, you put shoes on. which was A, true, and B, really kind.
Uh-huh.
But I was thinking about, I am happy to feel like I have to wear an outfit if it helps me perform better, but I don't agree with telling people what they have to wear.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a hangover from school where you're told you have to wear this, or I need to write a treatise on this, like the sort of clothing rules.
Yeah. Well, it seems like
it's on my mind, but it's
undermined because, well, first of all, it's the Grammys and it's representing all different kinds of music and free expression. So the idea that you need to dress up for the Grammys,
but there's also a thing of, does clothing show respect? And I would never want to show disrespect. So because I love the Grammys, so I was interested. Maybe I was wrong, or maybe we're sort of brainwashed to thinking if you're not wearing a tuxedo, you can't get married, kind of thing.
Right.
Well,
right.
Of course you can if you're hot. What if you're an axe murderer and you're dressed correctly? Are you a better groom than Woody Harrelson over here, who loves you with all his heart but is wearing board shorts?
Right.
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 No, you're not. But then
I didn't know the answer. And I think Woody is very violent, in my experience.
Well, I'm going to give big shout out to Woody Harrelson, because he was at a concert of ours one night. He was so kind to my brother when he had no reason to be, that he just became an extra hero in my eyes.
Well, that's nice when obviously people are nice to you, but it's so delightful when you find out who someone really is, when you find out later on that they talked for 20 minutes to the person who was installing cable. I don't know. I love that. When people reveal their true kindness through just...
Well, he did another thing too.
It wasn't performative,
Something I learned from my dad is that everybody is interesting if you ask them questions.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. And my dad is amazing at that, and he comes out on tour a lot. And he doesn't necessarily know who people are from movies. So he talks to our crew a lot, and a lot of them have names like Bash or Hoppy, Mystic, things like that. And then he met this guy called Woody, and he started talking about, what do you do? Do you fold the cables? And it was Woody Harrelson. and hello, Woody, like this.
And then he told you, I met this lovely fellow named Woody.
Yeah. And again, Woody Harrelson was cool as fuck. And
well, I was many years ago had a party, and Jim Carrey was there, and my mother was there. And at one point, I see my mother talking to Jim Carrey, and I'm thinking, oh God, what's happening? And then she came over to me and she went, I just talked to the loveliest young man. His name's Jim. And I said, oh, you talked to Jim? And she was like, yes. And I told him, if you want to be in comedy, you stick with it. And they're going to try and put you down, but you keep... Of course, he had like 9... He was the biggest star in the world at the time. And I said, Mom, all I want you to do is go back to Boston and tell your friends you told Jim Carrey to stick with comedy.
That's great.
And she did, and got laughed out of town.
That's amazing. I was visiting my friend who had cancer at the time in New York, in hospital. And I was coming down in the elevator with a nurse in all her glory, like 6 pens in the pocket, like, And I was singing it, not loudly, not like, hey, check this out.
Yeah.
But I was mumbling or something. And she said, oh, you have a beautiful voice. And I said, oh, thank you so much. She said, you should do something with that. and I said, oh, yeah, well, maybe. And she said, also, you look like the guy from Coldplay. This is really true. And I said, okay, yeah, people say that. And she said, you know what you should do? You should call restaurants and say that you're him, because you would get really good tables. And then she left.
People now, every time, it's a woman gets a late night talk show, they talk about this woman's in late night, and that this is breaking a barrier. And I always think yes, that's great and it's important, but I always try and remember that you, Mary Tyler Moore, Lucille Ball, were smashing these barriers 60 years ago.
Yeah.
It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
And we need to remember that, because I think you guys...
Well, CBS didn't want me to do it.
They didn't want you to do the show?
No, they didn't want me to do a variety show. And I had a weird contract that said that that I'd signed a few years before with CBS, that if Carol, wanted to do a variety show, hour-long comedy variety show, CBS would have to put it on for 30 shows, whether they wanted to or not. That was some agent.
I could have used him in 1993.
And so when the time came, I pushed that button and got one of the vice presidents of CBS on the phone. And I said, I think I want to push that button. That's what we call it. He said, what button? He forgot about it. And I said, where I get to do 30. Oh, let me get back to you. So he called the next day. It's sure he got a bunch of lawyers, to find out about that contract. He said, yeah, I see that, Carol. But, comedy variety is a man's game.
Yeah.
And he said, it's Caesar, it's Jackie Gleason, it's Milton Berle, now it's Dean Martin.
Dean Martin, yeah.
Yeah, and he said, it's not for you gals. He said, we've got this sitcom we'd love you to do called Here's Agnes.
That is the perfect bad pitch sitcom. And by the way, I'd like to bank that now. Yeah. I will put up the money, Carol, if you'll do the Agnes show. Well, I think it's safe to say you proved them wrong.
I think so, yeah. Well, at least we got 30 shows out of it, and we wound up having 276, so we did okay.
It must have been interesting the next morning after the Carol Burnett show aired. I know that everyone else, in my house would be talking about it the next morning. Okay. We'd be talking about all the things that we saw and what made us laugh. One of 6 kids. We're all packed together in this house. We're all about 6 months apart. I don't know how my mom did that. And we it's the Irish thing. But we would be talking about, because we loved your show. And I'm curious, as Carol Burnett, you must have been hearing from people the next day about, you must have been curious. Well, would you guys, people from the street or just people in your life? Was there?
From the get-go, people were pleased.
Yes.
Now, we didn't score every week by any means, but we had a pretty good average, and the first few years, like first 2 or 3 or 4 years, I was more goofy, like I had been on the Gary Moore show, which is why they wanted me to have Lyle so that I could swoon over Lyle. And after that, I thought, wait a minute, I'm married and I've got children. Let's not do that anymore. That's when we started giving Lyle more to do other than for me to go gaga over.
Right.
And then we started getting more, I don't know, a little bit serious when we did the family show.
Yeah.
Where Eunice and Mama and Ed and some of those were, you look up dysfunction in the dictionary and you'd find that sketch.
It would get very dark. And I remember thinking it got to me in a good way. I remember very well when your character went on
The Gong Show.
The Gong Show.
Yeah.
It's all played for comedy. And then you get gonged and the camera just stays on your face.
And it gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
Smaller. And you're thinking, is there going to be some reprieve or some laugh? And there wasn't.
No.
And I remember that to this second, how powerful that was. Yeah. And it gave me the idea that it doesn't always have to be funny.
Right.
It's one of those memories I have from television.
Some people hated it.
Of course they did, yeah.
It made them uncomfortable. And then others, after it had aired a few times, I was getting a manicure, and the manicurist was Russian. And she said, that family you do? That's just like my family in Russia. So people identified.
But what's interesting too, you were playing this really real dysfunctional family, and then that is most comedy now, the comedy of discomfort and dysfunction. Yeah. So what you were, not initially, but what you were playing with a little bit was something that now is de rigueur. It's all comedy, I feel.
But you didn't see stuff like that on a variety show.
You did not.
That was different. And what's really funny was we only thought we were going to do it one time. So they had written for me to be Mama, and we were going to have a guest star be Eunice. But Eunice spoke to me because my mother had a lot of dreams that never came true. Yeah. And I said, I think I want to play Eunice. So then we were going to hire an older woman to play Mama.
Right.
And Bob Mackey, our costume designer, said, let Vicky do it. We'll just take off her eyelashes and put her in a fat suit and put a wig on her, and that's it. So,
and she was so young at the time, playing
24.
Yeah, hilarious.
24 years old. And as I said, we hired her when she was 18 to be my sister, and she wound up being my mother.
The business will do that to you. It's so funny because you've done so much work. I've seen, obviously, Breaking Bad and the work you're doing on Your Honor, and you've done. I saw you on Broadway as Lyndon Johnson, and you killed it. You've sort of conquered all these different worlds. And I always go back to, it's funny, every now and then I run into a Malcolm in the Middle, and it's one of the funniest performances I've seen on television, you as Hal, and it's a very particular kind of almost cartoonish energy. I'm not even going to say almost, that you're bringing to that role, and there are so many little ticks, but the physicality of it is absolutely hilarious.
Thanks.
And so I came to that show later, I think when Malcolm in the Middle was really, hitting on all cylinders. I'm working on the late night show, and I'm thinking, well, that's a family show for kids. I'm not really paying attention. And then I went back and I started seeing some of them later on in reruns, and then I started noticing that there are fans that do like mashups of all of your most amazing sequences, and I can watch those forever. I can watch those forever because I maintain that your shriek as Hal is one of the funniest things I've ever seen, and also you run away funnier than anyone in comedy, I think. Your runaway is absolutely delightful. Does that make sense to you, your runaway?
Want to see it?
Yes.
There are so many scenes where Hal is up against it, and you decide to run away, and you do this thing where every part of your body is moving kind of incorrectly. It's like there's 35 cats inside a person suit trying to run away, and it is so hilarious. That's the kind of stuff, I think, physical comedy, when people can nail that, I think you're in a high stratosphere that most people don't get to experience. And I can watch that stuff forever. I really can.
That was an interesting job for me, because everything else was cast. The entire family was already cast, and they couldn't find the dad. In the pilot episode, I think I have 3 or 4 lines, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And so I was trying to find the core of every character that I do. I look for what's at the emotional center of this person. And I'm looking for different ways, and I finally came across it, and I realized, oh, well, just keep this simple. I wrote down all the qualities that the Jane Kaczmarek character, who played Lois, had. Fierce, tough, resilient. And I go, oh, fierce, a wimp, tough, soft, resilient, gives
cracks
immediately. Yeah. And I just went the complete opposite. And one of that I came to is her was fearless. And I went, oh, he's frightened. That's it. He's frightened of everything. And so once I grabbed onto that, everything in his life, he's frightened about being fired, about being a bad parent, about his wife leaving him, about spiders, about heights, it's like, he was frightened about everything. And from that point, everything kind of grew.
And where did the shriek come from? Because it's so much fun. There was a sequence I saw once where you've gotten into what is it called? Race walking?
Yes.
You've gotten into race walking, and you think someone else is more jogging than race walking. One of your teammates or competitors, and you accuse him, and then he panics and he tries to race walk away, and you say, "Don't worry, I've got this." And you start race walking after him when you could just run. And I look at it, and I am not, some people say, well, to really see classic comedy, you need to look back at Chaplin, and you need to look at Laurel and Hardy. I think, yes, definitely true, but you see it all over the place. You just have to be looking for it. There are people that can do it. And obviously that was a really great idea, so I give the writers credit, and the director. But that character is one of the funniest characters in television, I think. It still endures. It's so.
God, I haven't seen it in ages, though. I mean, it's I hope it does. And I have new generations of people coming up to me because it plays on Disney Channel, I think. And they said, my kids are now watching it. I loved it when I was a kid, and now my kids are watching this. And it's like, man, that's good when it can endure.
Well, it's also fascinating that you could be Hal, and then, you can be Walter White. And I know that I think one of the things that I always realized is there is there's great comedy. It's a different kind of comedy. It can be very dark, but there's really funny moments between you and Aaron Paul. There's really funny moments in your life trying to make this transformation, trying to go through this. But if you look at the work that you're doing on Malcolm in the Middle, and you're playing way up that end of the neck on the guitar, and then you look at the finale of Breaking Bad, and you see where you've gone, and you think it's impossible to imagine. It's crazy. It's a crazy range.
And in this town, most people want to be able to place you as doing something. Oh, Conan, well, he's a comedy guy, and he does.
I never get that.
You never get that.
I get he's trying really hard. And he's well intentioned. That's what I was been pigeonholed into. It. No, but exactly, yeah.
They want to pigeonhole you in that. So I did 7 years of Malcolm in the Middle, and it was great. And out of that, I had a couple offers to do a sweet, goofy dad on a sitcom right after that. And I thought, how could I do something different at this moment? It's so ingrained. I need to completely step away from that world. So easily said no to that. And later that year, same year, I got a notice that said, well, you did an episode of X-Files about 9 years ago, before Malcolm in the Middle. And the writer of that episode, Vince Gilligan, would like to see you about this show called Breaking Bad. Do you remember him? I said, no. I don't remember.
Hard pass.
I'm not going to go audition. And I said, sure. And I read it, and it was just incredible. And what Vince did, and what he said he wanted to do at the outset, is he wanted to change the main character throughout the course of the series, which has never been done in series television. If you look at Archie Bunker or Tony Soprano or whomever, they are the same people. They react to different stimulus, but they are the same person, whereas Walter White was going to change from a good, honest guy to becoming a killer.
Yeah.
As Vince Gilligan often says, he said, I just want to see if I can change a guy from Mr. Chips to Scarface. They're not going to let me. I know they're just not going to let me do it. But we'll see what we can do. Yeah.
He's such a sweet, unassuming guy.
Yeah.
Vince Gilligan. I've had the joy of hanging with him a little bit, and you would never sense that he was the creative center of the best TV show ever. He doesn't act that way. If I had achieved what he had achieved, I'd be wearing an admiral's hat.
With epaulets.
I'd have epaulets. Yeah. I'd be carried around on one of those chairs. Yeah. I would let everyone know. But it's really amazing when you look at and it's it's funny because you probably heard this from a lot of people. I went back. Because my son never saw Breaking Bad. He was too young, but we started watching it together, and I went back to the beginning, and it's mind-blowing because I know the transition that's going to happen because I've watched every episode of the show when it was on, but now I'm starting again, and I still can't believe it's going to happen.
Oh, wow.
Do you know what I mean? You still think, no. This on some level, I don't see how that could possibly happen. Yet there's not a false note along the way, and it's that old saying that a curve is an infinite number of straight lines. That it's like, no, it is possible. You just have to make sure that the changes are very subtle, and each one has to be earned. Mm-hmm. It has to be earned, and I think that's what's magical about that is everything Walter White does is earned.
Yes, and that's the writing. It is the writing. It's. I will always say this because an actor gets inspired through great writing, and an actor can only perform so much. If an actor got B-level material, working at his or her best, I do believe I could get it up a grade level. But if I got C-level material, you're getting a B out of me. That's as far as you can go. It really does take incredible writing. If you get A-level material, you treat it like the holy grail. It's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, just don't screw this up. Just, oh my God. And Breaking Bad was like that. You're turning the pages and going, oh my God, I cannot believe he's doing this. Oh my God. And yet it's not an aberration. It's something that was set up. If you were attentive to it, it does track if you go back, and still it's surprising to you.
Hard to believe. It's been, how many years has it been since Breaking Bad ended? Has it been 8 years?
You're looking off. You could look at me.
No, I have Walter White right here, and you're looking at me.
Does no one know how? No,
Brian, wait here. I'm going to try and find out.
But wait,
I'll be back.
Well, no, Conan, I could tell you.
I'll head this way. How many years has it been?
I don't know.
God damn you! Damn you!
2013. 2013.
Yeah, 2013. We
so that's been it's someone do the math.
9.
Well, it depends on when this airs.
That's
to
true.
Be fair.
We're holding on to this for a few years.
For a few years.
I think people need to be ready for this interview. The way it started, they really need to be prepared. We need to clear things up.
9 years so far. Yeah.
So, but when you go back as you've done, I don't think I'm spoiling anything here, to pick up and have these moments in Better Call Saul. Does it feel like you're putting on an old suit?
Mm-hmm.
It does. It feels like that.
Yep. It's slipping. You know how for an actor, when you sit in the chair and you start putting on the makeup and you start looking at it. When I did the HBO movie All the Way, where I played LBJ, it took 3 hours of prosthetic makeup, 3 hours every morning. And although I used it as my preparation into getting into that headspace to play that guy, that big, boisterous, domineering man. Right. And I can see the transformation happening when I'm looking in the mirror and they're applying all the extra nose and the ears and the things, and pretty soon you start talking like this, and God damn it, get out of here! Where's my soda? And start poking people, and you get, and you become that guy. It really helped. Same thing with even putting on Walter White's desert boots and his khakis and his shirt, his long sleeve shirt, and that very, very iconic pork pie hat of his. And there he is, and you go, I know what this feels like. And then it just kind of helps you slip into that character.
And because all this time has gone by and you've done all these other things, and the fact that you can access it, which, I imagine is, that's the craft.
Well, I imagine, but think, if for a comedy tour that you did, and a routine, and if someone said, remember this? And you go, oh, yeah, and remember this, and then you might pick up on it and go, and then I did this, and I remember that.
Yes.
And you start, it starts ticking away at your brain, and your memory starts coming back, and you start to be able to recite certain lines from it. You're going to be rusty, like you are in most of your shows. But
first of all, you're not wrong. I'm not going after you for being wrong, but saying it out loud seems cruel and unusual.
I always thank my honorees for being a good sport afterwards, because it's not easy.
Right.
Have you ever been roasted? I've never been roasted.
I get roasted every day.
Every day. Yep.
I have... when I had a writing staff, I did feel, because I would go in and they would just go to town. If I slipped up or if I made any mistake at all during a taping, I would hear about it, and they delighted in it. But I also delighted in going after them then. So there was a lot of that I think, to your point, when you're done with something like that, you almost felt like you've been to a spa. Because you get the bile, like the bile literally comes out of your pores. And I find it to be, there's something really magical about it when it goes really well. And it's one of the things why I brought up how the person reacts is so key because you're giving them a gift if they see it that way.
I'll take it. Go ahead.
Go ahead. If you can laugh at if you can laugh during that, it's kind of joyous. And when you're done,
I always say to the honoree, I said, if you're having fun, everyone's going to have fun.
Right.
And to your point, their laugh can also make the joke better. My most famous joke when I was a young comedian was at the roast of Jerry Stiller, Friar's Roast.
I've heard about this. Is this B. Arthur? I want to hear this. Please,
yes.
Please say this. Please say this.
So this is like 1999 or something. I'm just starting to get a little bit of a reputation around New York for doing the roasts, and I loved it because here I was doing shows with Milton Berle and Buddy Hackett, and you know, of course, my hip friends in the alt comedy scene were making fun of me, but I was like, this is the ultimate alternative comedy. Like I'm up here with these, you know, Mount Roastmore of comedy. You know? Well, you guys are out there, you know, in these without a microphone in these like alt bars, and I'm like, I'm gonna come up here and get made fun of by Milton Berle, and at this point now, I'm like, you know, a Comedy Central, I don't know what they would call it, consultant. Like, I would help. If Kevin James was going to roast Jerry Stiller, I was going to write Kevin's set, my set, Jerry's set. Like, I worked months, 24/7. You know, I did it all. It was like, you know, fresh-baked daily jokes. Here's the latest. And this is your speech, and this is your speech. And everybody would have input. And, you know, I'd work with everybody to make sure they owned it and felt it. But I was all in on these shows. And B. Arthur was one of my idols. I just loved her. And the Friars Club would have the podium in the middle, and then the dais would go 40 people each side like an airplane wing, you know, like, and you know, Freddie Roman would get up and it would introduce everyone there for 20 minutes. Everyone would take a bow, and I did the same joke every year. When Freddie would introduce Donald Trump on the dais, I would stand up and wave, just as Donald had his one moment of the night. I would always take his moment and act like I was him and wave to the it was like, you know, 2,000 people.
He was a good sport even then.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And, you know, Howard and Robin, they'd be up in the balcony, and, you know, it was like a who's who of politics and boxers, and all of it was always just as I loved that it was just all these New York socialites and stuff. And B. Arthur shows up because she's friends with, you know, Ann Mira and Jerry Stiller, so she's a guest, and she's on the dais. And of course, I'm towards the end of the show, and no one's, other than her little bow in the beginning, no one's mentioned B. Arthur. And I'm like, that is disrespectful.
I'll fix this. I know what to do.
So I have my script. There's no teleprompters. I have my script, and I don't know what I was thinking or where it came from, but in my nervous scrawl, just somewhere in my margin, I wrote B. Arthur's dick. And I sat there another 30 minutes.
That note just sold at Sotheby's for $600,000.
And one of my friends from the Friars Club, one of the board members, Joe Zapala, he was the ambassador to Spain.
Right.
You know, he's sitting next to me, an older guy, and I show him, I point on the paper to him next to me. It just says B. Arthur, and he looks like, no. Don't ruin this perfectly nice.
You were warned.
This perfectly nice evening. No. And I look at him like, man, you know, I should have asked a comic, not an ambassador. and I finally wait my turn, and I'm next. And Sandra Bernhard, who I love, is up there, and she's doing a risque sort of lap dance thing to Jerry, you know, and, you know, writhing around Jerry. And, you know, he was very squeamish. He was very embarrassed. And that was the joke, is how he got uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and his son is there, and his daughter's there, and his wife Ann Mira is there, and the whole thing. And it's just delightful and hilarious and weird and totally Sandra. And then they introduced me, and I said, my opening joke was, I couldn't help myself. Sandra Bernhard, holy shit, I wouldn't fuck you with B. Arthur's dick. And to your point, Conan, to your earlier point, the joke's okay.
Yeah.
To me, the joke's okay. But it's like you say about Rickles, it's the balls of it, like,
yes.
You know. But it's the brazenness part of it. But it was her reaction that made it made my triple into a grand slam.
Yeah.
It was she just slow burned me, and the camera held on her, and she just didn't evil-eyed just. She murdered me by just looking at me.
Right.
And that made everything okay. Like, she gave a classic Golden Girls, like, slow burn take.
Perfect.
And she really made it perfect. And, you know, a year goes by, you know, that year, like, Time Out in New York, Jokes of the Year, it makes the end of the year thing,
That's
like
great.
moments. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm getting famous off this B. Arthur joke. I wonder if she's hearing about it. So now I'm like, oh my God, I hope she's not upset. You know, I love B. Arthur. To think that I would embarrass her or hurt her in any way. Like, she was a good sport, but maybe on the inside, is she getting asked about this in interviews? Because the roasts were starting to take off to become this like cultural thing. And I see that she's performing her one-person show in Los Angeles. It's a fundraiser for an animal charity, and I didn't have a lot of money back then, and the tickets were expensive, and I got one ticket. I went by myself, and I brought flowers, and somehow I weaseled my way backstage, and she had a long line of well-wishers who wanted to congratulate her, and I waited to go last so that I could actually talk to her, and I gave her the flowers, and I said, Miss Arthur, it's like a year later. I don't know if you remember me, but we met at Jerry's Roast, and she said, you nailed me, you prick.
Well, good for you, but good for you for going. Good for you for
beautiful,
going.
and the best lay I ever had. So, roast
She
in
was
peace.
hung like a horse.
Roast in peace. Roast in peace. Roast in peace, B. Arthur. I loved her. She was so cool.
You get on this terrific TV show in a role that just was perfect for you, this great role as April in Parks and Rec. And so I'm just curious, how did that happen? How did you get that part?
It's a weird like series of little things that happened, but that specifically was because I don't even know how to start, but basically I came out to LA because I was like up for Judd Apatow's movie Funny People, which I got, but like he was trying to cast a completely unknown comedian. That's a whole different story, but where he wanted to cast a stand-up comedian, and I wasn't doing stand-up, but I was doing improv and sketch comedy at UCB.
Right.
But I basically like pretended to be a stand-up to get that part or whatever, and then Allison Jones was casting that movie, and I didn't have an agent at the time, but because I made it up the ranks of the audition process for that, I flew out to LA for 1 week to do a chemistry read with Seth Rogen, and then while I was in LA, Allison Jones was like, would you mind going on a couple other meetings, and how do you feel about that? And I had no idea what was going on, because I'm like, this is crazy. I was like, you know, I had nothing going on for me. Like in New York, I was like doing comedy stuff, but I was like, sure, like I'll go to whatever meeting you want, lady. I don't give a shit. And then so she like basically said, she was like,
This is infuriating any actor
No,
out
I know.
there.
Believe me, I know.
There's so many
Believe
starving
me, I know.
actors out there like, I'm sorry, I'm Allison Jones, a top casting director. Would you go on a few big-time reads? Hey, lady, I don't know. I got nothing to do. I don't give a shit.
First of all,
Fuck off.
I was
off.
kidding.
Yeah, I know.
Second of all,
I know.
Allison Jones changed my life. Okay, as I'm sure she's changed so many people's lives, but
Not
she
mine.
okay. Well, not everyone, you know, went to whatever. You know what you did, but she
Went to the devil and signed a contract in 1993.
You know what
That's
you
what
did.
I did.
You know what you did.
I know what I did.
But so she was like, I'm going to send you on these couple meetings or whatever. One of them is with the creators of The Office, and The Office was on the air at the time, and it was huge. And so I was like, yeah, like I'll go meet the Office people. I don't give a shit, lady. But I was in LA for the first time, so I was like, LA, like I was wearing jean shorts, like I was like, I didn't realize the weight of that meeting, and then so I went to the set of The Office. It was like somewhere in the fucking valley, or I don't even know where I was, but all I remember is like I went into, I think it was Mike Schur's office, And I kept seeing the actors from The Office, like Mindy Kaling and BJ Novak, and people like walking by, and I'm like, oh my God, those are the people in The Office. And he was like, that's because we're on the set of The Office. And I was like, this is crazy, dude. And then we were waiting for Greg Daniels, and then Greg came in, and again, they hadn't written the pilot at that point. They were just talking about they had Amy, and they were talking about the ideas for the pilot or something. And then I don't know, like, I don't even know what I did in that meeting. Mike Schur says, like, she was the weirdest person I ever met. I wasn't being weird, okay? I don't even know what I was doing, but Greg came in, and then, you know how weird Greg is. And then
yes, I do.
Greg and I, like, immediately we literally started talking about the meaning of life. I don't even know what we were talking about. It was like we were high or something. Like, he came in and he was like, what happens after you die? I'm like, okay, this is what I've been saying. I don't know, dude. Like, what do you think? And then we were like,
this is Greg's process, by the way. This is how he casts. Steve Carell apparently was awful in his audition, but then had a really good theory for what lies at the end of the universe. And Greg, that's what Greg wanted to know.
All I remember is, like, I have an image of Greg, like, I want to say he was, like, doing a Rubik's Cube. That he wasn't, but I want to say he was, like, knitting something, or I don't know.
If it was Greg, he was probably knitting a Rubik's Cube.
Okay, he was like knitting a Rubik's Cube.
A functional Rubik's Cube.
He wasn't making a lot of eye contact. And I just remember he was like, I don't know. And I was looking at him, and I was like, this guy is fucking really weird. And then we were talking, and then Mike was just watching it like, what am I watching here? And then he was basically, then he started telling me the idea for the show. And he was like, Amy's going to have an assistant, and maybe she's going to be like this. And then I was like, that's a stupid idea or something. Not really, but I was basically like, oh, like, she should have an assistant that's like a college intern that's like really smart, that is just doing it for credit and like hates everybody, but like is good at her job but doesn't give a shit about it or something. I pitched him the character basically, and then he was like, okay. And then and then that was it. And then I heard
I told Greg Daniels exactly what my character was and how it fit into this show, and he went, okay.
Whatever.
No, I don't know.
No,
I'm pretty
cool.
sure that's what happened. And then I pitched him that, and then basically I found that was it. And then I left, and I'm like, well, that was weird. And then basically a couple weeks later or something, they called me. They're like, you're in this show. And I think the original pilot that they wrote, the character's name was Aubrey. It was just Aubrey in the pilot.
Right.
And then when NBC, I guess, was going to sign off on me, they made me audition to play myself.
Yeah.
They were like, you got to audition now. I'm like, to play myself? Like,
Right.
I hope I get the part. Like, then I went in and did an audition where I don't even know what I did. And then they changed it into April, and then that was it. And I'm like, great. I didn't even want to be on TV. I was trying to be in movies, bro.
Let me just say one thing, because it's just that sometimes the universe, everything comes together in too nice a way. Greg Daniels, who is running The Office, and with Mike Schur, he's doing Parks and Recreation. He and I started out in the business together. Just quick disclosure, as writing partners, and we've been friends forever. And we text each other all the time. And Greg I love him, and he's brilliant and really super funny. His mind works differently. This is a text I got on my way this morning to Larchmont to come do this podcast, not knowing that Greg's name would even come up. I'm just going to, talk to Aubrey. I get this text out of the blue from Greg. I haven't heard from him in a couple of weeks, and I just get this text. How you doing? I had a weird dream you hurt your left hand. Hope you're great. I just picked up my phone and was like, okay, you brought up Greg. I've got to...
I don't know. That sounds sexual.
I know. So I'll be calling him later to find out exactly what happened in his dream.
Your left hand jerking me off. What's up? It's me, Greg. Remember us?
You jerk off Greg Daniels? In the dreams? We both... What the hell happened here?
You numbed your left hand for the stranger.
Yeah, what were you doing with your left hand? Greggy. Man. Little Greggy?
Yeah, exactly. Not little Greggy. It's made of concrete, that thing. It broke my hand.
God, you guys are sick.
You're sick. You did this. You introduced that whole image and then circled around and accused me of being a perv.
It's really you two weird Catholics at the end of the table.
I know.
Doing all of
I know.
If it's wrong, it feels so good. Right, Conan?
Well, that's interesting. That's fascinating. When you got this part, and then you're off and running. You're off and running.
I got that part. I got Funny People, and I got Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, directed by Edgar Wright, in 1 week.
Oh my God!
When does that happen? Man, I was in the right time, in the right place, in the right jean shorts.
I've just realized that when I auditioned for the late night show in '93, I was wearing very short jean shorts.
Oh, really?
I think that.
Remember when I first met you for this podcast?
You were wearing super short jean shorts.
That's right.
Hey, you got to show a little leg, baby.
A little bit more than that. You gotta show that little undershelf. You know,
I want to play in the big leagues.
that little overhang
up a
that
little
Tom
bit.
Cruise climbs in Mission Impossible.
I
Oh
learned
my
that.
God.
Yeah. I was lucky. I was a lucky little waitress from Queens.
The thing that imprinted on me when I was young, I would say, to my influences when I was very young was Bob Newhart, yourself, and that amazing Carol Burnett show, and Warner Brothers cartoons. And I think you can take those three, and no offense to Bob, but if I had to, he can drop out, and it'll just be Warner Brothers cartoons and you. And I know Bob well enough to be able to say that. But that's all the comedy class you need in timing, and just the joy of performing comedy. So that was in me somewhere. I had just watching you do your thing, and it wasn't just the sketches. You did something that was very unusual at the time, question and answer. You did a Q&A segment on the Carol Burnett show, and I remembered that blew my mind that you could stand out there in front of people, not hide behind a character, and talk to people, and you'd see real people in the audience ask you questions. I maintain, and I've said this before to people, human beings have this crazy ability to know when something is organic. They know when it's rehearsed, and they know when it's spontaneous. I don't know why we know, but we do. And I would watch those segments and see you be funny in the moment in front of, back then, half the country is watching. And I thought, where did that come from? The guts to do that on CBS, one of the most watched shows on television, that walking without a net on a tightrope.
Well, what happened was when we were going to do the show, the executive producer, Bob Banner, said, Carol, instead of having a comic come out and warm up the studio audience, you should come out as yourself before you get into all those sketches with your fat suits and blacked out teeth and fright wigs and all of that, so that they get to know you and just open it up to Q&A. And I said, I don't think I can do that. I mean, I'd be too frightened. I'd be afraid that they wouldn't ask anything, or that if they did, I wouldn't have a good answer. And he said, well, we'll put some plants in the audience, and have. I said, no, if we're going to do it, and if I have egg on my face, at least they'll know it's real.
You can't fake that.
Got to be real. So then I said, okay, we'll do like the first 4 shows, 4 weeks. And if it's terrible, it's goodbye. We won't do it anymore. So I went out there, first show. I was terrified. And some people did ask a question or two. But I mean, if you look at the first episode, it was really goofy. It wasn't that good. But then it aired. And then the next week, some people would come and they were ready to ask questions ready. And then I started to get into the groove and love it. And it became one of my favorite things to do. And it was great because I would do maybe about 15 minutes and then we'd do the show. If the show was long, we'd only have maybe 5 minutes of Q&A, or if it was short, we would do the whole 15 minutes. But some of the stuff that we did, that people were just wonderful. There was this one woman, her name, she looked like B. Arthur when B did Maude.
Yes. Kind of imposing, a little fierce.
Yeah. And she got up, she raised her hand, and I called on her, and she said, I want to come up and sing. And I said, come on up, you know. Well, she was up there like that. And I said, what's your name? And I remember she said, Terry McCann. And I said, so what do you want to sing, Terry? And we had a 28-piece orchestra over there. And without hesitation, she said, looked at the band and she said, you made me love you in the key of G.
You made me love you.
And the audience was laughing and she went, okay. Boom. And then she started, you made me love you. I didn't want it. She was good.
Yeah.
Now I came in and I started to join with her.
Yeah.
So we were wailing away. And really, because I knew the song, she knew the song, and the audience was clapping and, it was all. And then comes to where we're going to end it, right? Uh-huh. I had a different way that I thought it should end. From what she is, so I went, you made me love you.
Yeah.
I wanted that. She had a different way. So after all this wailing, clapping, and everything, it was kind of petered out, And she looked at me and she said, you screwed it up.
I love that it's the Carol Burnett show, and she's whatever she is.
No,
Millie O'Sullivan is telling you screwed up.
Maybe it was actually B. Arthur.
Yeah, it was B. Arthur in a wig.
Well, you know what? Later on, I heard from some of her relatives, about maybe 5 years ago, she died at the age 100, and they played this at her memorial.
Oh. I was thinking about when you just said you had a 28-piece orchestra.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it because I want to get this straight. The show that you did, which ran on CBS from 1967 to 1978, it won 25 Emmys.
What?
And it could not exist today.
No.
It doesn't, that world doesn't exist anymore. You had a 28-piece orchestra and you had 65 to 70 costumes a week. And
do the math. In 11 years, Bob Mackey designed over 17,000 costumes.
Jesus. But I mean, it was a time when I don't think we'll see that again, where you had a large portion of the country watching. And that meant, because of the advertising power and the star power of the people that would come by, it worked out. It was very different. And what's happening now to variety is it just is getting, you have that feeling every now and then you'll pick up a magazine at the newsstand and it weighs next to nothing because everything's online. And it's a magazine that's a famous magazine that's been around forever and it's glossy, but it weighs, it's like 15 pages long. And I think that's what's happening in a lot of talk and variety too, is it's unimagible to have.
Also, when we were casting and everything, and I was fortunate enough to get Harvey, who was brilliant. And so Tim didn't come on the show as a regular till the 9th season.
It's so funny. Most people don't know that. Harvey Korman always knew, and I was lucky enough to have him on the show, and he came on and lay on the couch like it was a psychiatrist's couch. And he was wearing like a safari jacket, and I was crying. I was laughing so hard. And then Tim, we were lucky enough to have him on a bunch of times. But you think of Tim as always being there, 9th season.
Yeah, but we had him on as a regular guest quite often, but he was doing other shows. He had a Tim Conway Variety Hour at one point. But nothing that he ever did lasted more than 13 weeks.
Yeah.
He even had his license plate, 13 weeks. But one of my favorite Conway stories is he did a film comedy called Rango.
Yeah.
And it was film where he was this inept cowboy.
Yeah. Tim
needs an audience where he can just go. And, so they're filming and it was not good. It was not good that, he was kind of hornswoggled. He couldn't do what he usually did.
He's in a vacuum because he's on a film set.
So now they're on location. And this guy from ABC is going to come and tell Tim that the show is canceled. But Tim didn't know it yet. So he's in his motorhome and he's changing for the next scene and whatever. And there's a knock on the thing. And the guy who came in from ABC was very nervous. It was like he was an underling, and he said, "Hi." He said, "Oh, Mr. Conway, I'm Warren Tart. I'm from ABC." And Tim said, "Yes, hi." And he said, "Well, stop doing this."
Stop doing this?
Oh my God.
Stop doing this.
Oh, no.
Stop doing this. That's how they canceled him.
I was told stop doing this many times, and I never listened. I think that's the magic, is you just don't listen.
The best thing that I've learned over the years, when you're writing it and shooting it and then editing it, it just keeps changing each time. And then what I always do, and it drives everybody nuts, but it's true, is I'll sit down and say, okay, so you just saw the latest episode of Barry, and you go to a bar and you're sitting with your friend, and your friend goes, "Oh, you just watched the latest episode of Barry?" "Yes." And they go, "What's it about?" "What do you say?" You know what I mean? And it's like, well, it's about a guy, and like that order and that of the information is how we should probably lay the story out. And it'll be interesting is they'll tell the story and it's going smoothly. And then you go, "That's great, but you've never once mentioned Fuchs. So we got to go back and make it so you can't talk about it without mentioning him." Or you'll talk about the whole thing. Like, "That's great, but you never once mentioned Barry," which happened season 2.
Mm-hmm.
We had a whole episode that I wasn't in.
Right.
And Alec Berg and I went, "You're not in the show."
It's my favorite episode.
Yeah, it's my favorite episode. He goes, "You're in 2 scenes."
That's the only one I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
That's the Emmy winner.
Yeah. "I thought Henry was Barry." "I'm Barry?" People are always like, "What's it like working with Henry Winkler?" And it really is all about the cake that he brings to set. Oh. He just brings bundt cake. I'm like, "Henry, you're losing your mind in this scene, and you're on the verge of," and he's like, "And then after that, can I give the crew the bundt cake?" Like, Robert Wisdom's going to scream at you and make you cry. And he's like, right. Well, I have the coffee and the bundt cake. Right over, and he has a story about everything. Right over in this corner, Gene Shalit attacked me. Or whatever it is. He wasn't attacked by
He
Gene
was one of the
Shalit.
first celebrities I saw when I came out to L.A. with Greg Daniels in 1985. We went to something, and one of the first celebrities, not the, but one of the first celebrities, and you have to remember, you guys are too young, but Happy Days in the 70s was the biggest thing in the world, and the Fonz was the biggest part of Happy Days. And in my school, in my English class, there was a big poster of the Fonz on the wall. The teacher had put it up just to like try and pacify us. He was such a big thing. So I get to L.A.
This'll calm them down.
Hey.
How do we calm these children down?
Maybe Farrah Fawcett?
And they're like, "Yes. Here's a picture of Abraham Lincoln."
Here's one of the Three Stooges.
No!
The Fonz.
Look at them, sir.
But we went to some event, and I couldn't believe it. But everyone was going to their cars, and like this big, almost like a station wagon pulled up. The valets brought up a station wagon, and it was raining really hard. And one of the windows had been left open. And Henry Winkler came out to claim the car, and his wife was getting in the car, and he opened up the back seat, and he took like this big rag and started wiping the water off the back seat. And I thought, what's the Fonz doing? He's some schlub wiping water off the back seat of a station wagon.
Yeah. And
what happened?
He jumped in the car. He quickly went, "Hey!" And then I got him. It is him. No, he's the sweetest guy on the planet.
Very sweet.
He's a very nice guy, and so he's a guy that you can also, when I would on set be kind of overwhelmed or whatever. He would always be like, "I just want you to know you're doing a wonderful job," and he would walk away.
That's
and
so
I was
nice.
like, "That's sweet."
It's interesting that my son and I are such Barry fanatics that we last year decided we need to go back and rewatch them all. We did that before the last season. So we went back and watched all of them again. And what struck me was how there's an arc to the tone of the show. that's very organic. It's a compliment.
Yeah.
But if you watch the first Barry, second Barry, third Barry, it's much lighter. And then and it's almost when you start down this path, and I was loving it, the tone starts to gradually change, but it's subtle. And now, if you look at where we are now, you can't believe the arc. You can't believe where you started, which to me is a real achievement.
Yeah, that kind of was, when you're writing it, you kind of start with this kind of idea that is kind of on the face of it could be a very kind of glib idea. And then when you try to do it realistically, you kind of move on, and then it's finding it and you go, oh, this is like, this is the tone of the show. And then I think there was just some touchstones. I mean, one in season 1 was when Barry is in the car with his friend Chris, and he has a choice to like kill him or not. And he kills him, and there's no joke after that. And I remember being in the edit and going, Alec Berg directed that episode, and we were going, well, the next scene is like a comedy scene. What do we do well, let's just put it in there and see what happens. And it didn't hurt anything, and it was like, oh, that's interesting. We can do that. So it was a bit like having some sort of machine that you went, well, we're still afloat. We're on a boat and we're trying all these things and we haven't sunk yet. So let's try that. We can go in that direction. But a thing I always thought of as we were moving forward was the movie Rosemary's Baby. If you watch that movie, starts off very purposely like a Doris Day movie.
Yep.
It starts off, there's nothing, overtly creepy about it. It's like a very nice couple buying a place, an apartment, and at the Dakota, and it kind of moves forward. And then as it's happening, the tone starts to slowly shift, in a way. And so that's always stuck with me in that, to what you're talking about. But then I don't know about you, you've experienced this too. When you're writing something, you're kind of like, it's how you meet people too. It's like we're writing the character and you're meeting all these characters, and it's how you meet somebody. It's kind of superficial, and you have your initial take on them or impression of them. And then as you hang out with them, you start to get to know them better, and they just become, slowly and increasingly more complicated, and it's just trusting that. And then also, I think the other thing I'll say is when you're dealing with murder, it was very hard for me to be funny about it. It could be strange, but it was hard for me to have someone get, the Janice Moss character get killed and then kind of forget about it. And I was like, no, when she dies, it's for the whole show. Like, you can never forget about her. Every episode she's mentioned, because I think that's what happens when someone loses somebody. And so you would be in the writer's room and everybody's going, what was the comedy? And it was like, no. But we got to hold on to that. We have to hold on to that and just trust that it'll work.
But also, is it a comedy? Why does it have to be a comedy?
Yeah, that was in their room. That's true. Yeah, that's funny you say that because I just did it. But I do, I've been doing a ton of press, so I'm a little tired. But
so I was the last piece of press you did. Literally, this is the last thing you want to do.
No, I have more press. I have more press after this.
I've done just about every shitty thing you can think of.
Like, I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel. They reintroduced me to shows that were canceled. I
just did Regis.
I just went to Bonnie Hunt's house. I just said, Bonnie, let me tell you about Barry. And she said, I don't have a show. And I was like, listen, Katie Couric, she doesn't want to hear all these people. They don't know. They don't know me. I said, why didn't you get the episode?
I saw you on Hannity.
Yeah, I was on Hannity. Yeah. I was like, look at me when you talk to somebody. When you talk to a man, you look at him. No, but it is a thing you get a lot of, which is this a comedy or not? And it's like, we're just telling a story.
It's so funny because this season of Barry starts off in this very dark place, and then I'm not giving anything away, but at one point, NoHo Hank is with his partner, and they have a cut to him, and he's wearing this hat and these glasses, and I lost it. It's such a funny, and so to me, this idea that things can be incredibly dark, but then and to me, it makes the funny much funnier.
Yeah. Also, if what we learned was that as long as it stayed within that character, where you would say, well, NoHo Hank, this is what he would wear in Santa Fe.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, this is what he would want to wear. That's what he's wearing, which we always thought was very funny. So it's always like when it comes out of honesty, it kind of works. And the things that wouldn't work was when I would, hand of God, comedy nerd, try to come in and create something that wasn't coming organically out of a situation or the characters, and that was usually the stuff we would lose.
Oh, good. He's taking a drink of water. I'm going to get a question in. Oh my God, he's not swallowing. Harrison. This behavior is not worthy of you. A man of your stature, all you've achieved, this is not worthy of you.
We should also mention that he's been eating those little cuties, those little orange slices this whole time.
The smallest orange I've ever seen. Make a tiny mini nectarine, a tangelo, if you will. And you've been eating it section by section.
Little cuties, they're called.
Yeah.
That's nice.
That's what I do.
Are you glad he finally piped up?
Yeah. Isn't this worth it?
Incredible comment about little cuties.
Great.
Think if we didn't have that, what would we do? What would we do?
Just trying to paint a picture for the listener.
I think that's very good. If only there were cameras here. Oh.
Yeah. Why are there cameras here?
This is just for tax purposes. I need to be able to show that we made a podcast.
Okay.
And then we get to write it off because I monetize everything. I now own your likeness because you've been on the podcast. And you need to buy it back from me for the new Indiana Jones film to come out. That's how smart I am. That's what makes me different from other people in this business. I'm a real whiz, Harrison. A real whiz.
Wow. Wow.
I saw you at a party recently.
No.
Yeah, I did. I did. And
I remember. I saw you too.
Thank you. I was glad you saw me.
You're hard to miss.
I'm hard to miss.
Yeah.
I kind of stand out, don't I?
Stand up. Stand up.
But I just was in a silly mood, and it was fantastic because I walked up to you and I said, I think I'm the new Harrison Ford. And you gave me that great look. And you said, fuck you, I'm Harrison Ford. And I said, well, you've been Harrison Ford for a long time, but there's time for a new one, and it's me. And you said, okay, you can have it. And I thought that was a verbal agreement that maybe I take over.
Oh, what a waste.
What are you talking about? I have the gravitas.
Oh,
I have the bearing.
What will you do with it?
I would try to, keep the different franchises going.
Oh, no.
Why?
You as Han Solo?
Yeah.
No.
Let's stop this right now. Yeah. Where was this party? Where was this alleged party?
This was a party, alleged party. You were there. This is a party that was a lot of the Shrinking Gang was there, and which, by the way, you are hilarious on that show. That's a fantastic part, and you play it beautifully. And we had a nice time at that party. A bunch of the Shrinking cast was there, and
I remember it now clearly. Clearly,
you were there.
You were there,
and I think you were having maybe a tequila, and I was having
maybe
a little bit of
orange juice.
Okay, or it was orange juice. They're very easy to mistake orange juice for tequila in a shot glass. But anyway, I thought we had a real moment there. I thought that you enjoyed my company, and I hate to make this all about me when you've had this incredibly storied career.
I know where you live, and it's not very far from where I live.
Uh-huh.
You could walk over to my house anytime.
Is that true?
No, because
I could walk to your house, but would I get in? If the doorbell rang.
no, you would walk back. But at least you'd make an effort.
I'd make an effort.
And you know, if you really wanted me to notice the roundness of this, if you really wanted me to be your friend,
Mm-hmm.
but you didn't.
And it's over now. I had my chance.
No, I think this is your chance. I think you can still redeem yourself.
Oh. Well, how's it going so far?
No, I have friends like you.
Okay.
I really, I mean,
You know circus people? What?
No,
You have no friends like me.
I've always liked you. I liked you. That's why I did your show.
Many times.
Many times.
Yeah.
I did it like, twice?
Oh, no.
4 or 5 times.
You did my show 9 times. You did my show. You have.
And you
right here.
write my name.
9 times.
Really?
Did show
Wow.
9 times. Yeah. Yeah.
What?
You did it 9 times. And you were unfailingly very funny every time.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things you ever did
Yeah.
was we have this person who our fans know very well named Jordan Schlansky, who's a Star Wars obsessive. And he had built a Millennium Falcon out of Legos. And it took him 9 months to build this thing.
Yeah.
And he brought it out and gave a long speech to you about the meaning of his Millennium Falcon.
One of the pieces of memorabilia in my collection, in fact, the flagship piece, is a Lego Millennium Falcon that I put together in 2010. They're selling for about $5,000 now, and it took about 60 man-hours to create. And I display it with pride, but it would really mean the world to me if Harrison could sign it. Is that okay, Harrison? Wow.
Sure.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Wow.
Now, it's very delicate.
A long time.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So I have a sharp...
That's bad.
And handed it to you. And you threw it up over your head. And it landed on the floor and shattered in a million pieces. And it was the greatest day of my life.
And then he picked up a piece and then signed it.
And you signed it for him. And it was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. And by the way, it's a clip online that people adore. They just adore it. It was just a magical moment. And I thank you for that.
Well, those of you at home who don't know how these things work, let me point out that this was a scripted bit.
Yes, it was.
He didn't build the damn thing. Somebody else.
Okay.
In the prop department.
This is why.
Built the damn thing over probably took him 3 weeks. He probably had to take it home and ask his kid to help him put it together.
Yeah.
And then you built this whole shtick around it, and you made suggested that it would be funny.
Yes.
If I destroyed it.
Yeah. Right. I will make it clear. And first of all, this is why you've never.
And you were right.
It was funny.
Yeah. Cruel.
I'm cruel.
But funny.
I'd like to point out that you'd be terrible working with a magician. Because the magician would come out and do a trick where he saws the lady in half and then puts her back together again. And just as the crowd is applauding, Harrison Ford walks out and says, "Excuse me, I'd like to point out that this was all a sad sham. This woman secreted herself into the first half of the box, and those legs are fake." I have picture you as a terrible, terrible magician's assistant. But yes, you just exposed my little trick that delighted millions.
And you've just explained to me why people never do imitations of me.
I was just trying to get my voice into a male register. That's all I was trying to do. All I was trying to do.
You tried.
I tried. The only way I can sound like a man is to get down here. And then I'm either Nixon or Harrison Ford. And I am neither one. This morning, when you were coming here, did you have a second of thinking, what? I'm going to do what? Conan O'Brien has a tiny radio show in a little room? Was there a point where you did a 180 and started headed home?
No, I didn't. I was curious.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious about it, but then I got here and I see this is a really kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, this shit's not free.
No, this is a state-of-the-art studio designed here by Eduardo.
Really?
Nice,
man.
Thank you. Yeah. A beautiful building that we have, a large complex. We do many.
And there are like probably there's 6 people here.
Outside. Yeah.
Outside, there's another 20 people.
Yeah.
What do they do?
Well, first of all, a lot of them are here because you're here. Yeah. And I hate to throw people under the bus, but when Nick Kroll rolls in, they're not here. I'm sorry, Nick, but you're going to take a bullet for this one.
Yeah. Who's Nick Kroll?
Exactly.
Is he like Jerry Tchaikovsky?
He's my Jerry Tchaikovsky. He's a very funny, brilliant comic and actor. And
Nick Kroll.
Yeah, I threw him under the bus for no reason other than his name came to mind, and I thought, I'm friendly enough with him that I can do this in this moment. Mm-hmm. So that was undeserved. And Nick, my apologies, but you got a shout out. I'm talking here with Harrison Ford.
Hey.
And also,
Let me say his name again.
Yeah.
Nick Kroll.
Yes. There you go. Now, see, all is forgiven. He's just thrilled.
Yeah.
He's thrilled now. Yeah, but no, we do have, this is a big operation, and many, many, many people will hear this. Yeah. And they'll say, Conan does interrupt too often. And he should shut up, and he should let Harrison talk.
Nah, should let these other people talk a little bit because they've got microphones in front of them. Yeah, you have not said one fucking word. Yeah.
Can I say something?
You know, it's your last day at work, so why not? Go for it.
Well, I would just like to say that I dressed up a little bit today out of because I'm a huge fan, and every single person in the office has commented, "Oh, you dressed up. You look nice." So do I just normally look terrible? I just put on a button down. I'm sorry to bring this interview down.
He used the opportunity to ask a question about himself.
I know. Are you crazy? You finally got the mic. No, I'm sorry. You're the biggest. You're the biggest next to Matt.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm sorry, Harrison. I'm sorry.
You spent your one bullet on that?
You missed
Who
your
is
guess.
this guy?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I don't let him have the microphone.
Yes, sorry.
So anyway, what do you think about what I'm wearing, Harrison? Do you like it? Is it nice?
I'm sorry.
Jesus. We're wearing almost the same thing.
See, we're almost matching.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But I didn't bring it up. I didn't think we'd take some of Conan's valuable time to talk about what you and I are wearing.
I have to say, this is
humiliating.
This is humiliating. This is humiliating for me. It was humiliating for you the minute you walked through that door.
Nah,
you are a colossus.
I'm just
a colossus. And then the minute you walked in here, it was all diminished.
Yeah.
Your career's through, Harrison. It's over.
Okay.
I've just been told that Shrinking no longer wants you.
Yep.
They're getting a new Indiana Jones.
Oh my God.
Been replaced. Nick Kroll will take over that role. What are you doing?
He's removing the belly button.
You're removing. That's a little mark that keeps you on the belly button there, so that your lighting is just perfect, and you removed it. You're a carpenter. Do you like our table? What do you think?
Yeah, it's nice. Everything is nice here.
It's nice. Really we did a really good job.
Tasteful and nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you say? You, me, maybe we start hanging out a little more regularly.
Well, I thought we had this daily podcast deal.
He was
don't
clearly
ruin this.
kidding. No, that's not.
I don't think
he'll
he
never
will.
see you again. The
No.
door. It's over for you.
We're
It's
going,
really over
no,
for Clay.
we're going to Chipotle after.
We're going to Chipotle. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of time left. I'm 80.
You look fantastic.
Unbelievable.
By the way.
Well,
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So you can be my friend.
Mm-hmm.
What would we do together?
You and I?
Yeah.
I see us getting a meal.
We could get
and
a
then
meal.
We
Yeah.
get a meal. Probably
Should
we both
take
live
the
in-
girls?
I think
Our
we should.
wives.
I think we should take. I
Can't
think-
say girls.
No, I can't do that. I think we take the ladies. I
Yeah.
take my wife. You take your wife. We go to a nice place. We get a, and then you and I take a little stroll afterwards. We lose the ladies. You and I walk along the ocean in Santa Monica. We look at the moon for a little while, the way fellas do.
Oh.
And it's a nice way to digest. And
I'm digesting it right now.
people will say,
Yeah.
there's Harrison Ford.
And Conan
Who's that
O'Brien.
tall lady with him?
He's taking a new lover.
Why is he out on the town with that very strange tall woman?
And why are our wives
Why are they not included? Why are they letting it happen?
Yeah. They're better than that.
Yes, they are. We both married up. Harrison, I want to say in all sincerity, and you do not.
This is it, huh?
You're not someone who encourages, sincerity, so much foolishness and laughing. But I'm not kidding when I say that people turned up today who I haven't seen in a long time.
Like me.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
me.
Just to watch you walk through the door, and you mean the absolute world to people. And you should have been in this room last week when it was confirmed that you were coming on the podcast. I believe Matt openly wept. Blade jumped out a window.
Yeah.
Sona took an edible, but she does anyway.
Yeah, I do that regularly anyway.
Yeah, she's pretty high.
Although I am excited you're here. But I just
she's
did what I normally
major.
do.
Yeah.
She's got a problem.
Okay, not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, we all have an edible from time to time.
You don't do that.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I wish I did. I think it'd be good for me. But my point, Harrison, and I eventually do get to my point, my listeners will tell you that, is that it was an absolute joy having you here. And I will say again, you're one of my favorite funny people. You are so funny in an original, dry way, and you're just the whole way you come across. I've always loved having him on the show.
Yeah.
Always. And I love now, too, that in Shrinking, people get to see you be so hilariously funny. Nope, wasn't written down. That was that was all genuine.
No, that's 10 times now. I've done it.
Oh, yeah.
I've done you 10 times.
I've done you 10 times.
Yeah, you are done.
That's it? 10?
Nah, just for me.
If this was... Hey, if this were it, I would be quite happy. I would be quite happy with that. Seriously, it's...
it was fun for me, too.
You know what? It's an honor to know you and a blast. And God, you make me laugh. So thank you very much for doing this. And I'll be by in about 48 hours.
I'm counting on it.
No, you'll be there waiting.
To turn you away.
To turn me away. Personally turn me away. It's been a while since in the old days they would throw a guy out of a bar by grabbing the back of his shirt and his belt and throw him out. That is how Harrison is going to throw me off of his property.
What a way to go.
Man, no, nothing like that. You're a big guy. I'm an old man. That would never happen.
You could beat the shit out of me.
Yeah.
No.
Trust me.
Yeah.
I say we never do this, but round of applause for Harrison Ford. Thank you, sir.
Oh,
Seriously.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's all I got.
That's it?
You're free to go.
Okay.
I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Right.
I don't know why you're crying.
I'm happy.
Oh, good.
I'm glad I came. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
And You got a friend.
Thank you. That's so nice.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What about us?
Yeah.
Don't push it.
No.
No.
Fair.
I think that's a smart choice.
Yeah.
Honestly, I respect that. Okay, I have something very tangentially Oscars related, which I don't think I've said on mic how great a job you did on.
Oh, thank you very
that, by the
much.
way.
Thank you. I enjoyed myself thoroughly. I had a really good time.
The Oscars are big in our family. It's like the Super Bowl. And my wife sat down with my daughter to do a little arts and crafts, and they decided that they would try to predict what all of the famous people would be wearing at the Oscars.
Interesting.
Okay. And so I just want to show you.
Because your daughter is quite young.
She's 3.5.
3.5. Okay.
And so is my wife.
Yeah.
All right. And this is what my wife did for Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. Okay. I just want to show this. And so
Wait a minute.
Pretty
That
close.
they were wearing very
Hold on.
architectural
Look
dresses.
at this.
That's
Oh,
insane.
And so now I'm
Nappy-nappy.
living with a woman who is convinced she's psychic. And I don't believe in that kind of stuff. But now I have to say, I don't know what's real.
Wait a minute.
anymore.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
The fact that your wife did that prior to the Oscars
Prior,
and seeing what
a
they
few
were going
days
to wear.
before.
Okay. I'm going to say this. That is eerie. That is eerily close. Unless, is she someone who pays attention to how they normally
No, not at all. She had no idea. She just took a guess. I think she was going kind of off their Wicked characters a little
Yeah.
bit, but isn't this
Is it
incredible?
mean if I say she draws like a 10-year-old?
Yes,
Too? Okay.
yes,
Okay.
if-
Yeah.
it certainly
okay.
is.
Yeah. It's.
I thought those
like
were pretty good.
Yeah. You do?
Well, wait till you see how my daughter draws.
Oh, I thought those were your daughters.
I mean, no offense to Amanda. But...
No, but also you were up close because I got you some seats.
Yeah,
I
you
hooked
did.
you up.
Yeah, you hooked me up.
And you could see Ariana Grande trying to sit in that dress.
Yes.
And
Oh,
she
really?
had to. It was not easy.
She had to, I think, sit
Yeah.
on the edge of the seat because it
Either of
was.
She
those.
couldn't recline.
No, those are not sitting dresses.
Yeah.
No, these ain't sitting dresses.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, we'll stay on topic. Okay.
Well, that's it for that. But this came up earlier about Ralph Fiennes. This is my daughter's prediction of what Ralph Fiennes would be wearing.
Again, spot on.
She says that's his little hat.
Okay.
But then this is where it gets pretty interesting. This is Zoe Saldana.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
And my favorite here, Adrian Brody, and she pointed out what all of the pieces are here.
Oh.
Little bow.
Yeah.
Hair. Bum.
That's his butt and a toot coming out.
Oh, a fart.
He poopies and potty, and he does go pee-pee.
Pee-pee.
Wow.
Is it his pee-pee or he's pee-peeing?
I think he's, I'm not sure. I'll have to get back to you on
Okay,
that.
all right.
say-
Yeah, I'd like to.
Can I say I
clarify.
was backstage when all that was going down
Yeah.
with Adrian Brody, and all of that happened.
Yeah.
This
You
is
saw Bum
accurate?
Bum
Yeah, we
and
were
Toot
hosing
coming
that.
out?
We were hosing that place down.
He was pooping in the
afterwards.
potty and he had the pee-pee.
We all heard it the first time. We're good. We don't need your recital of the facts. So I think that's pretty impressive.
This is crazy, right?
I think that's crazy that your wife was able to do that.
Look at that.
We should do this. We should predict what
Yeah.
people are going to wear and stuff.
We do it here around for certain guests.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
we
that's
do
right. We
do
should talk
that.
about this.
Yeah.
It's just-
That's
I
right.
didn't. Well,
Yeah.
Eduardo,
You're
please
not
speak your
involved
truth.
in
I'm not
this.
involved in
There's
this.
kind of
Speak
like
your
an
truth.
office pool that
Right.
happens for certain guests.
Okay.
I'd say the AAA listers,
Right.
where the office around here starts to guess and wonder what they're going to come in dressed
To
like.
my recollection, it was Goldie Hawn, Jane Fonda, and Al Pacino.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's guesses. So we already kind of.
How close did you come?
I'm not good at this game.
Yeah.
But there's other people within the office that are.
So those aren't the only three AAA listeners.
No,
No,
they
but
you
they're
were
the
just
only
Those are the
three-
only ones right there.
Yeah.
yeah.
Nobody got Goldie Hawn because she came in like a body glove wetsuit or something like that. Remember? She had like
Was it a wetsuit?
No, it wasn't a wetsuit, but it was like a sport tank top or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
something.
It
almost
was
like a
very
swimsuit.
beachy.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair to her, she came right from deep diving
That's right.
for pearls without a tank. I mean, she came right from that and brought us all fresh pearls.
Yeah.
She was amazing, by the way,
She
Goldie
was.
Hawn. If you have not listened to her interview, check it out. Because I loved talking to her.
Yeah.
She's incredible.
And
her
she
her
looked amazing.
memory of things that happened to her when she first moved to New York in
Yeah.
the 60s, and she didn't have a place to live yet it was, and she talked about all of it as if it happened yesterday.
I know.
The imagery and everything was incredible.
I love her so much. I mean, Ruthie's the one who's kind of spearheading it, and she goes around
and makes people guess
a list of what people are going to dress up.
Do people ever guess what I'm going to be wearing when I come in?
No one ever talks about you.
That's weird.
You just never come up.
I guess it's because I'm so ubiquitous.
I think they forget that you do this podcast sometimes.
Also, I tend to wear the same thing a lot.
You do.
I have kind of a uniform.
You're like a Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
In my ability to lead the world of tech.
No. I meant like just like wearing the same stuff a lot.
Oh, I thought you meant the other way in which
this works.
Yeah.
Sometimes we
the
guess
hoodie
what
with the
mood
blazer.
you'll come in.
Yes.
Oh,
that's true.
I mean, cartoonishly hyperactive.
Yeah, just
versus what?
Scale of 1 through 10, maybe, like how
high out the knob will be turned up.
Yeah, how bitty you might be.
Where are we today?
I think today's like I find a tendency that when we haven't recorded in a while, there's like this freshness and there's like a layer that's
pent up bits.
But also just friendlier.
That's true.
Like he's happy to see everyone.
I'm worried about next week because we have 4 sessions on the books, and by Friday he's just going to be beating us.
Well, I don't physically. Yes, I do physically beat you. I'm sorry, and that's probably wrong, and I shouldn't admit to that on mic. But yes, it is true. I was away from you guys. I've been up in Seattle, visiting my in-laws with my wife, and love Seattle. Shout out to Seattle, and shout out to Pam and Jake Powell.
Seattle.
Powell's. You're wearing your Seahawks.
Seattle Mariners.
Starbucks. Oh, that's the Mariners. Yeah.
Microsoft.
it doesn't work the same way.
Boeing. Needles, space or otherwise.
Amazon.
Oops. Anyway, had a wonderful time with the Powells, as I always do, and I really love Seattle. But what happened after being away for like 8 days is I do miss you guys, and I do miss this total assery that we engage in. I don't know what else to call it.
That's accurate.
Foolishness. So I come in and I'm doing it's bits right away.
Bits right away.
Then when we do a bunch of shows in a row, towards the end, I feel like one of those, jackpot machines with just that it's been pulling on the handle again and again and again and again. And there's no coins left. And then I want everyone to fuck off.
There he is.
There he is. All right. This was just a segment. So there's no, I just looked down. Am I introducing? I don't know how this podcast works.
No, you don't.
You want me doing it for 5 years.
Oh. Can I talk about something that you don't know how it works that would help me in editing? Is every time when you do the intro and you say, these are my guests, blah, 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 blah. And then you say their name is the last thing you say. Mm-hmm. I really need a pause there because there's a musical break between that. And I always have to find a strange
Okay, that
edit.
helps me.
Yeah.
That's constructive criticism.
That's right. No, it's nothing you're doing wrong. You didn't know, but I just didn't want to try to explain that to you.
It's been
but I don't know
5 years. And you've never, ever, ever thought to maybe just suggest to me you're that afraid of me?
And that's on me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wish I had a guest that I could introduce right now because I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do it in the future.
Okay. Do you want to just try it again with their names one more time?
Sure. With
Even
Christina.
though it's the end of the episode.
And Jamie Lynn? Sure. My guest today hosts the podcast Messy, which releases new episodes every Tuesday, wherever you get your podcast. I'm very excited they're here today.
Oh, man. Oh. Oh.
Christina Applegate and Jamie Lynn Sigler. What is your middle name, Matt Gourley? You are Matt Eustace
Matthew
Matt
James Gourley.
Eustacius Gourley.
No. Matthew
Yes.
James Gourley.
Matt Eustace Hezekiah Gourley. What is that? What do you got there?
Is that the shusher?
That's a baby shusher, yeah.
What is that?
I have one. Two of those.
What is that?
It's just something you put next to your baby to try to get it be quiet, and it just shushes them. And so I'm shushing you.
Why don't you just go shush? That's all it's doing. It's doing what you
then
could
you
do.
Can just go out. You and your wife can go out get food and leave this behind.
Well, why don't you just get like a Michelin tire, put an ice pick through it, and let it hiss at your baby while you and your wife hit the bar scene. I don't understand why you need that thing. That thing seems, and that's not comforting. That's not.
There's a reason it's in here with me and not being used.
Yeah, that thing's terrible. It looks like a salt and pepper shaker.
Yeah.
But when you turn the knob, it makes your baby think that there's an asp in the bed with it ready to strike at her jugular. That's terrible.
Well, I think he was using it now for a different reason.
Yeah,
and it wasn't working.
No, I can talk right through that. I don't need that. That wouldn't have worked in my house growing up. Let me tell you, 6 Irish apes running around, smashing into each other.
Redheaded orangutans.
No, I was the only redhead, but I was a redheaded orangutan with 5 other apes, all of us smashing and crashing into each other in a confined space. My father, of course, always at the lab. He'd always say, well,
Sure. The lab was a cocktail bar.
Yes, exactly.
He wasn't even a doctor.
Trust me. He's not even a doctor.
Lab.
He bought a white coat. He took a white coat off of an ice cream vendor and said he was a doctor and was just gone all the time. And my poor mother would just be trying to get us all to be quiet and just settle down. And nothing ever worked.
You know what I'm picturing? You know that scene in Zoolander where they're like jumping on the computer, trying to open it up, and they're just a bunch of monkeys?
Yeah.
I just picture 6 of those just running around, jumping on things and making weird, like grunting noises.
Yeah. No, it was my mom did everything she could to get us to settle down, and it didn't work. And once my mother and father, they never got to go out to dinner. First of all, in Boston in the 70s, I think there was one restaurant within 30 miles of our house, and it was
it something like the Jolly Roger? Or
yeah,
something
exactly.
Like
It had, and it was this restaurant that it was Tony's Italian Villa, and it was on
not even a restaurant,
and it was on Route 9. Tony's Italian Villa.
His house.
Tony's Italian Villa was on Route 9. And my poor folks, it was the one restaurant they could take us to, and they could afford it because we'd all cram into one booth, and it had one of those mini jukeboxes at the end of the table, one of those mini ones.
Yeah, nothing says Italian restaurant like a mini jukebox.
And my brother would always put whatever it was back then, a nickel into it, and play American Pie because the song lasted longer than any other song. So I was sitting there at Tony's Italian Villa, which, by the way, had these terrible paintings on the wall of like the Parthenon and Anthony Quinn and Zach Galifianakis.
All Greek.
Yeah, anything Greek. Mike Dukakis, Olympia Dukakis, Mount Dukakis. And we'd sit there and you'd hear, and I just associate them. They served one thing, which was pizza. They'd bring us a pizza and we'd each get one soda. We were allowed one soda. We never got to drink soda because my dad's a doctor. We never got to drink soda except when we went to Tony's Italian Villa. And we each got one soda, and the nickel would go in. A long, long time ago, I can still remember. And you'd be like, oh my God, here we go. This song goes on for 9 minutes. And Neil would say, yeah, but it's a nickel.
Yeah, did he want to get his nickels worth? That's why? He just wanted as much.
So every time it was like, and I didn't know what possible. It was Chevy to the levee, and I didn't know what a levee was. And I remember I'd sit there waiting for the pizza, which we always got. And we'd each get our one Coke, which wasn't very much Coke. It was a narrow glass. And I'll never forget the time my brother Neil said, hey, I'll race you to see who can drink their Coke first. And I went, okay. And he said, go. And I just inhaled the Coke instantly. And Neil didn't even take a sip.
Oh, brutal.
And my Coke for not just the week, maybe the month was gone. And Neil was just laughing at me with these.
That is brutal.
With his, and he had a big donkey laugh. He was like, and then I heard, drove my Chevy to the levee, and then a guy would come over and be like, you want your pizza pie? You're like, can you at least pretend to be Italian?
This story has somehow depressed me.
It really is.
Guess what? I still, whenever I go.
Hi, my name is Gary Goldman, and I feel ecstatic about being Conan O'Brien's friend.
That's very sweet.
And I feel like I wouldn't be that irritating.
Well, okay. Now, wait a minute. Now now I have reservations.
Well,
that you bring it up.
Because you intersect with a lot of the things that I've taken great joy in my life, like when you wrote on Saturday Night Live, and then the early Simpsons, and then your show. We started, well, we were colleagues, but I started doing comedy October 11th, and your show started September 13th,
in 1993.
1993.
Wow. Okay.
So I had a job as a CPA working for Coopers and Lybrand at the time, but then they killed off Lybrand and merged with Price Waterhouse. Anyhow,
but this is the best road into comedy. Traditionally.
Yes. And so I remember watching your first episode when I was doing accounting during the day and just not being able to get out of bed for work the next day. So we've intersected. So, but I would
thank you.
I would like every once in a while I'd say, "Did you mind if I ask you about that episode where you pretended?" I was convinced that they were real headlines and real articles from newspapers,
right?
And then they became more and more absurd, and it was a kind of takeoff. Did on the Tonight Show at the time.
It
wasn't
just a takeoff.
Oh my gosh!
It was ridiculing.
Yes.
The existing Tonight Show in a way that I really enjoyed.
Yes.
Which was
and I thought, oh my gosh,
that host would show. Oh, these are real. These are I won't do the accent, but these would show real. Like this is a real ad, and look at this funny thing in the ad, and we would say, we're going to do the same thing, and we would show an ad that looked fairly innocent for like a waterbed, and then it would pan down in the corner, and there'd be a little picture of Charles Manson, and it would say, Charles Manson says, "This is this waterbed is murdering good." Something that's insane.
It's not even an expression.
Yeah, and then I would always act kind of incredulous.
Yes,
like how does that help sell the waterbed?
Right.
And Andy, of course, would play along, and he'd be like, I mean, I don't quite see why. And I remember, I thought we just loved writing those,
They
and
were so good. The funeral home one, we will make the death of a loved one the most horrific experience. And you were outraged.
Oh, I was always
because
outraged.
This is a difficult time for these people.
Yeah.
And they're promising to make it worse.
Yeah. I loved those.
And then
we called them actual items, and I'd always say, now this looks normal right here. This looks fairly normal, but whatever, and it's for like a restaurant where kids can eat, and then always it's. But why is look over here, and it's a little Hitler.
Yeah. Or there was a woman who was hit by a car, and she was treated by Dr. Hope she's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it makes me happy that you were watching. There are all these comedians. There are all these comedians that I adore, and you are among them. And makes me happy to know that they were watching because, just
it was
pure...
that thing that you had mentioned before about how when you first watched the Gary Shandling show, oh, this is just for me.
Yes,
and I felt that way, like with Get a Life with Chris Elliott, and then with when you started doing the late night.
It was funny. It was sending out a little signal and thinking somewhere out there someone's getting this.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to do that. We also wanted to stay on the air, which proved very difficult. Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend is brought to you by the Kia EV9 and Sirius XM. Sona, you remember we talked about the Kia EV9, and we finally got to see it.
Ooh.
I went down and looked at it. Beautiful. Well, first of all, the color was gorgeous. It's this nice blue. It's got this very spacious third row.
Yeah.
I love a third row. I'm a large fellow. As you know, I'm 6'4", all muscle.
Okay. Well,
and,
that's debatable.
I was very comfortable. I really enjoyed it. And the plan. The plan is to have my assistant who took over for you because you weren't working out, David. Well, you know what I mean. You're goofing around a lot.
Okay.
David came in, and David, you're going to run some errands for me in the Kia EV9.
I'm excited.
It's a good-looking car,
It is.
and you and I sat in it for a second. It felt very comfortable.
Oh, wait, so much space.
Here's a little plus I want to add. SiriusXM offers a 3-month trial subscription to all equipped Kia vehicles. SiriusXM provides access to over 165 plus channels in the vehicle to listen to ad-free music plus sports, news, comedy, and more, including fan favorite Conan O'Brien Radio on channel 104.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to send you out.
All right.
You're going to go out in the EV9, and you're going to do some errands for me.
Great.
Just enjoy this car. You're a young guy. This is a fine, fine car. Okay? I'm not saying that you don't deserve to drive a car this nice, but I am saying that.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, there it is.
The all-new, all-electric 3-row Kia EV9. Visit kia.com/EV9 to learn more. Kia.com/EV9. Kia. Movement that inspires. There's a lot to talk about here. I'm going to start by paying you a compliment, which is a gentleman who worked for me for, God, almost, 30 years is Brian Kiley. And Brian Kiley, I adore because he's the best joke writer I've ever known, one-liner joke writer, and also just a great guy and
the kindest, most generous,
but writes a deadly joke. Like he can just make an ice bullet of a joke, and it's beautifully. And I'll tell you, Brian Kiley has always raved about you.
Oh wow!
Even before I really got to know you, he was
that's
like,
so nice.
Gary Goldman is such a good. And then I started watching we had you on the show, and you did what became this viral sensation. You did this bit about how the states
got their abbreviations.
And what I remember is the architecture and the thought that went into it. You're so goddamn smart, and the intricacy of it, and just immediately thought, who is this guy? This guy's fantastic.
Wow.
And then, of course,
nice.
I keep checking your clip from your appearance on your show where you did this. And millions and millions and millions of people keep seeing that
really
and
cool.
keep going back to it. And it's it makes me very happy that so many people now have joined the cult, because it is a cult of Gary Goldman. And that
there are no questions allowed.
No questions allowed.
They have to follow
and you
my
have
orders.
Yes, and you have certain rights with the other women in the cult.
Oh, whoa.
Well, he does.
Whoa.
Because he wears the red robe and everyone else wears the blue robe. Well, oh, come on. This is Cult 101.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry.
I'm interested.
Oh, you're in, buddy.
Uh-oh.
I was so happy that you were going to come here today. And I'm just going to mention this because this just happened. We always put out, I don't know if you saw it on the way in, we put up a nice welcome basket.
Oh, yeah. And nobody does that anywhere else. It's
right.
so nice.
And it's filled with like treats and things like that. And I walk and it says, welcome. And there's a little chalkboard right there, a mini chalkboard. And whoever's coming, like, we had, this is a true story, we put out some muffins, or someone put out some muffins for Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he walked in and pointed at them with disdain and went, muffins, and walked past them. And then on the way out, he took a bite of one and like spit it out and went, not even good. But I was looking at your gift basket, and it was filled with all this great stuff, and I picked up, I don't know why, I just picked up this there's a nice thing of Blue Diamond almonds, whole natural. And look at this. This is a very nice can. And it's been set out for you amidst all these other like beautiful things. And I just happened to, I don't know why, but I was like talking to somebody and I was playing with the top and I pulled the top off. This has been pre-opened.
Oh my gosh.
Someone opened this, took some almonds, then put the foil back and put the top back on. And I thought, what?
And it's someone in this room.
Exactly. Well, I don't know if it's someone in this room. It's someone in this building, or else it was from the last time. But someone did this, and I thought, what message is this sending to Gary, who's going to take the basket home?
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm having these now.
Take the basket home. Blue Diamond has always reminded me of wacky packages, like how easy it would have been to make a wacky pack of Blood Diamond almonds.
Nice.
And it would be gory, like a wacky package.
I used to love wacky packages.
Yeah. They were awesome.
Do you remember those at all?
What?
They were drawn parodies like you'd see in a Mad magazine or a Cracked, but they were for a popular product. And then they would do a drawing of it, and they would make the sort of
but the artists were incredible. Yeah. Like Art Spiegelman used to work for them.
Yeah,
they were stickers with bubble gum.
They were
stickers.
They were stickers, and then you'd stick them everywhere, and that was a big part of my childhood. Was seeing these wacky packs.
Our bedroom doors would be their final resting
More
place.
Beautiful Victorian homes have been destroyed by these shitty stickers.
Yeah, by wacky packages and STP stickers.
You and I.
That's true.